Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is Mark from Sound Matters. Today I'm going to cover top life hacks for record collectors. I think some of these are going to be really useful to you, and if I missed any or you think you'd like to add one to the list, just drop it down in the comments so that you can share it with the broader record collecting community. But without further ado, let's get straight in to that first hack. Number one on my list is to get yourself, of all things, a makeup brush like this one here. Now bear with me, these are very cheap to buy. I'll put a link to all of the products I'll mention in the description of this video, and it makes an incredibly useful turntable companion for keeping dust at bay. You can use this to kind of very gently get into some of the smaller crevices on your turntable and just keep that dust away from our records ultimately, and just keep everything looking incredibly sharp and tidy. Nobody likes the look. It just looks unsightly, doesn't it, having a turntable that's slowly building dust, and dust builds up quite quick. So this is just a very cheap, affordable and handy way that you can keep on top of it. Number two on my list is to go and get yourself, and again this is another unusual buy, but go and get yourself a toast rack like the one that's on the screen now. These are incredibly useful when you're cleaning lots of records by hand, because you can leave records very safely inside them to finally dry off. You know, when you clean a record by hand and you've taken as much of that record cleaning fluid off as you physically possibly can, but it may not be 100% dry, and what we don't want to do is return that record to a sleeve slightly damp, because it's a recipe for mold and things like that building up on the record surface while it's in storage. We don't want to be storing damp records. So just to make sure that that final element of the drying process happens before either it goes to a sleeve or you put them on your turntable, these are really handy, again, incredibly cheap things that you can buy that I think will really just help you out in that process. And as I say, just avoid the potential of any damp getting in there into our record collection. The next hack on my list is to use a humble household toothpick like this to fix a scratched record where the stylus is popping out of the groove. There's a skip happening, and I stress fix in inverted commas because you'll never truly fully repair a scratched record like that. But what you might be able to do with one of these is just actually remove some of the blockage that's causing the stylus to pop out of the groove. So what you do is you get yourself a jeweler's loop or a USB microscope so you can better see what you're doing, and you just simply rock it backwards and forwards on the groove where it is scratched, and you may well be able to clear that blockage so that the stylus can pass through and your record at least becomes playable again. Some people say that you should use a sewing needle instead because of the nature of the size of the end of the tip, but I find you can use a toothpick, and I've done this before. I've got a video I'll link in the top corner of this video and in the description as well for your convenience, but you can see the process of me having actually done this with a household toothpick, and I was able to get that record to at least play again. So give it a go. You never know, it might just salvage a really rare pressing that you have that unfortunately maybe got damaged. This next one's going to help you out when you're topping up the water tank in an ultrasonic cleaning machine like the degritter behind me, or any other ultrasonic cleaning machine for that matter. Now when we use these machines, a certain amount of the water is lost to the drying process, so occasionally we may need to just top it up a little bit just to make sure we don't dip below that minimum threshold of the water level. And if you're doing that using one of these great big distilled water tanks or cartons, it can be pretty difficult not to slop water everywhere, particularly when they're very, very full. So they're a little unwieldy and difficult to control. So what I'm going to recommend is you get a smaller one like this to decant some of the water into, where you'll have just that little bit more control, and you'll eliminate that risk that you could spill water or slop water everywhere as you're topping it up. It's a small thing, but it really does help just keep things safe and mess-free when it comes to topping these machines up. The next hack is to use a website called CamelCamel to track the pricing of products on Amazon over time. So you can put in any product and see the pricing history, but more crucially is that you can set up email alerts for a product to alert you as to when a price drop happens. So you can then pounce on that deal and make sure you secure it at that lower price. So this is a great way to save money on gear, but also on records. Check it out in the description of this video. I'll put the link down there. Next up is to use a 7.3mm drill bit to fix records, the spindle hole, when it's too tight. You may have come across this from time to time, but occasionally you'll get a record that's just a little bit too tight. That spindle hole is just a little bit too small, making it very difficult to get on and off your turntable. This risks damaging your record in the process, and it's just, frankly, it's just a pain in the backside. Now, you could be a mug and go get yourself this Clear Audio branded 7.3mm reamer, and these are great, by the way. You've got a nice little handle on them, and it's the perfect size for fixing the spindle hole, but it's incredibly expensive and overpriced. So you could be a mug and go get one of these like I did, or you could just head to the description of this video where I've put a link to where you could buy just a simple 7.3mm regular drill bit, and you can get this for under $10 or under £10 if you're in the UK. But crucially, it has to be that 7.3mm size, because we don't want to make the hole too big. We need it to be exactly the right size so that we don't risk it being too loose on the turntable spindle as well. Check it out for yourself. You'll find this very, very handy, and it will save you money from being a mug like me and buying this overpriced £50 this cost me accessory by Clear Audio. Hack number 7 is to get yourself a label maker like this for divider cards when organising your records. Now, you could go buy really expensive divider cards, really nice custom wooden ones you can buy, but as I say, they add up. If you've got a larger collection and you want to separate things by genre, for example, it's much more affordable to get the basic white divider cards like I've got behind me here, and then custom label them however you want, and you can organise your records then however you choose. And I like the sort of retro aesthetic of the labels as well, those sort of pressed labels, and you'll see them on the screen right now as I'll put a little bit of B-roll up here so you can see how they look. But these are not expensive to buy. It will save you money in the long run, and you can organise your records however you choose. Plus, you know, if you were thinking of just marking them up with a Sharpie, then it definitely looks a lot sharper than that. Hack number 8, and I'll make this the last one on the list before I hand it over to you, is to get double-sided tape to fix broken seams on records. And it has to be the type of seam where it's a lip where they're folded over and then traditionally glued to seal it. But this is a really neat, invisible way and very strong way of fixing those broken seams where the glue's given way. Some people, you know, just use regular glue or Pritt stick to fix these, but I don't find they have the strength of something like this double-sided tape. And I'll link in the description below so that you can pick up the right size, because it's crucial that we don't buy anything too thick, of course, because then we're going to cause ourselves problems. It will be too thick and you'll have exposed tape inside, and for obvious reasons, that's not something we want. If it's the lip kind like that, this works perfectly. If it's a straight fold type seam where it's worn away over time and then come away and there's no other way to fix it, you think, other than using tape like somebody's done here, then I recommend you also check out the Seams Easy strips for repairing those straight fold seams when they're broken, where there's no lip involved and no glue, where it's a straight fold over. You can actually repair or rebuild to a certain degree that fold with these strips that are invisible inside the record jacket. Once again, link in the description of this video. That's it for me, guys. Now it's over to you. Let me know your top life hacks for record collectors down in that comment section. And if you want to help support this channel further, if you enjoy what I do, please do consider checking out my Patreon page for bonus content each and every week rather, and also the usual discount code so you can get money off vinyl gear at no extra cost to you, and I get a very small commission that helps keep this going. Thank you ever so much to those of you who support me here at this channel. And if you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. I'd love to have you on board. But until the next video, guys, keep enjoying the records, keep spinning, enjoy that music. See you then. Cheers.